Everybody gather around. Let's do some Q&A. Let's talk about San Diego. Talk about NFTs. Let's have a good time. All right? Okay. Jake, come. Hey, before we get going, one of the fortunate, I guess, upsides, if you will, at times of trying to put things together and having a little bit of success is you get lots of people that do a lot of hard work for you. So just want to do a bit of a shout out. This is my boy, my son, Jake McFarlane. I put him in charge of the NFTs, and just so we know, those first NFTs came out. We built the site. Took a little bit longer than you guys know. Frustrated me too, but you know, the first two came out, they sold out. But then they had the idea of, hey, we're going to come here to San Diego. Why don't we try and do something? We do lots of stuff on the comic book end. Why don't we try and do something for some of the people that have been good to you in the Discord and on Oddkey. So Jake had a big giant role in helping to put this together, and I'm going to pass over to him because he's going to give you the names of a couple of the other Discord people that some of you probably have talked to, and just call them out because I think they deserve. I didn't do jack. I ate some food, and I didn't even have to serve myself. This lovely lady put it on my plate. So I had the easy thing. All I had to do was get in the car and come here. So Jake, let them know who helped put this together.
There you go.
Thank you guys. So it definitely wasn't just me. We have TJ Campbell here who helped out. Hey guys.
Thank you.
His brother Remy behind you guys. DJ Kerchik in the back. Any of the art you guys see, he drew himself, and some of the art he did we're raffling away as well.
Good stuff.
And then if you're in the Discord, I'm sure you guys know Watu the Watcher definitely did a huge part for us. So thank you guys. Super exciting.
Okay, so in no particular order, I have, if any of you guys, some of you guys went to the panel. Did you read the panel?
I would love the panel.
No, did you go?
Yeah, I went.
Okay, anyways, when I go up on a panel, I never have any notes, although I actually wrote down 3 words, and one of them was NFT, and I forgot it. Okay, sorry, Jay. But I give speeches, and I never write anything down. I just sort of ramble, right? So we're going to do the same thing, right? In no particular order. I'm just going to start talking. If you guys got a question, raise your hand. You can come up here and ask it. Let me just talk to you a little bit about San Diego first. The first, and I was talking about it a little bit over there. The first San Diego comic book convention I came to was about 1977, 78, right? So it's a long time ago. The San Diego Comic Convention used to be, there's a hotel, people don't even get there anymore, but it's downtown, what used to be downtown San Diego. I think it's called the Coronado or El Coronado Cortez. Cortez. And it was at the Cortez. Go take a look at it if you ever drive by it. It's a very small building. But we were in the basement. The entire San Diego Comic Convention was in the basement of the Cortez. And everybody that was at that show either lived in San Diego or we stayed at the Cortez. That was it. That was the sum total one. And in the evening, everybody would go down into the lobby of the bar or the restaurants, and you ran into all your buddies every year, right? It was super cool, right? Hey, how you doing? You didn't have to set up any appointments, and it was that. And then it just started growing and growing and growing. Eventually, they outgrew their space. I think they went to another hotel for a couple of years. And then they jumped over to the convention. But I believe the first time they were at the convention center, because it was new, I think they only took hall, like, you know those big letters you guys see outside? It goes from A to H, right? And H is where they have the big hall H. That's like you do a panel on hall H, you're the cat's meow. But the first one was, I think, only A and B. They only had A and B in the very first one. And then it went A, B, C, D, and then it just kept growing, and now it's the whole convention, right? Now you got this mass thing that you guys have all heard about. Eventually, what's interesting, I don't know if you know, is that Hollywood started paying attention to San Diego Comic-Con. And then San Diego Comic-Con was getting so big and the reputation that Hollywood started coming down. And then they came in there and they go, hey, we're NBC and we would like to have some space. And the answer was, no, there's no space to give you. And they were like, no, you didn't hear it. We're NBC. And they went, we don't have no space. And the way that it works is that if you have a booth and you pay a little bit of a holding fee, you hold your space for the next year. So if any of you are sports fans, it's the equivalent of having a season ticket. And you get to keep coming back. And as long as you put down your down payment, you get to keep your seat in the stadium over and over and over. Sometimes they'll move you around, but what they don't do is kick you out of the stadium. You're in. And so they'll reconfigure because somebody wants some more space, or the odd time somebody will give a space. But if NBC wants to come in, I'm not picking on them, I'm just using a big corporation. If they want to come in and they got a big space, then they have to wait for like 10 people to basically leave the stadium, and it's going to take a long time. So here's what started happening. I don't know if you guys are paying attention. They started doing events outside of the convention hall. And so the first year, which was knocking out pre-pandemic, the first one they did, I believe it was like 5 events off-site, what we called off-site events. And most of them were at Petco. Right? I remember going over there, doing it. 5, it was like 5. The next year, it was like 21. Then the next year, it was like 66. And like this year, it's like 142 events that are happening outside of San Diego's Comic Convention. Here's why that's important. Do you know how many people I know that are coming to San Diego every year and know they're never getting in the comic book convention, but they still come? Because they go to those 144 events. There are literally 2 conventions going on at once. There's the one inside the convention hall, and then there's the 141 outside the convention hall. And so when people see the massiveness of it, they go, oh my God, it's San Diego Comic-Con. It's not all officially San Diego Comic-Con. It is all these other offshoot ones. You even see it when you're just walking by the convention. You see a bunch of them. Right, but there are some big names, some big stars, some big celebrities, big events that are happening in all the hotels around it. 2 conventions going on at the same time. It is, I keep telling people, San Diego Comic Convention weekend, because I used to do stuff with the NFL, so I've been to some Super Bowl. It is the Super Bowl 4 days in a row. I've seen how many people go to the Super Bowl and how many people are at those events, and as big as it is, and we all watch it, the Super Bowl, the Super Bowl. This is the Super Bowl, because I've seen the Super Bowl multiple times with my own eyes. This is the Super Bowl times 4 days, right? Like, it is phenomenal. Oh, by the way, in case you didn't know, New York Comic Con, which is also run by the same people put on the San Diego Comic Con, they sell more tickets in New York than they do in San Diego. San Diego isn't even the biggest one anymore in terms of ticket sales. With the outside one going, it is bigger. But in terms of raw big convention walking around and the number of people, New York's the big place. The fun thing about New York, if you guys ever go to that one, is that they just finished building a subway a few years ago that goes from Times Square to where the convention center is, where they hold, it's called the Javits Center, which is sort of off the beaten path along the water. They finally built, like you used to have to walk it, but now you can get in it and it will take you right to the convention center. The thing that's super cool about that, you should ride that subway during that. You should run, because you can just see there's like half the people are going to work and the other half are dressed in every cool cosplay costume that you can imagine for as long as that train is, right? You just go, man, and you can see like the guys in the 3-piece suit are all uncomfortable going, why are these guys sitting here, and this lady has got like the skimpy outfit, she's like up close to me and everybody's sitting there, but ride the subway in New York City at least once from Times Square to Javits Center if you're ever at that convention. It's worth, I think Jimmy Kimmel and Jimmy Fallon have done shows on that subway because it's just super fun. It's super fun. You should go to it. What else we got about the convention? I said it before, the first convention I ever went to was trying to show my portfolio because trying to break into comic books. And they used to have people that would look at your portfolio. And I remember I got this one, and the head of Marvel was looking at portfolios, and I was busy doing some other stuff, and when I got in line, the line was too long. And then I go, how long are they gonna look at portfolios? They said only for about another hour and a half, 2 hours. And I looked at the line, and I knew at that point that there was maybe a 50-50 chance I was even gonna get there. And I go, uh-oh. I drove a long way. I was living in Canada at that point. I drove with my dad all the way from Canada, all the way down. And I'm going, man, it's a long ways to go and not be able to show my stuff. And so I told the story before that it was like, you gotta come up with a plan B. Everybody, you always gotta come up with a plan B. And my plan B was, how can I get my stuff in front of that man with all these people here? And the answer was the same, and it works in a lot of other different ways. I can tell you those stories another day. But here's the one thing you can sort of set your clock on, and you can bet on every human being. At some point, they have to go to the bathroom, right? No, it's true. You can just wait them out, and then take potty breaks. And so there was a man named Jim Shooter. And so I just waited, and I knew Jim was pretty dedicated, and at some point he took a break. And when he took a break, I knew what he was doing, and I said, he'll be back. And so I'll be back in a few minutes. Well, what's he gonna do in a few minutes? There's only one thing he's doing in a few minutes. So I followed him into the bathroom, right? So, no, look, at some point, if you're gonna go and do something, like check your shyness to the side. I had one moment to strike, this was it. So he went there, he went to the stall, I went to the stall. I pretended to shake when he pretended to shake, right? I flushed when he flushed. I went to wash my hands when he washed his hands. And then we went out, I went, excuse me, Mr. Shooter, I've got a portfolio, I wondered if you could take a look at it. Now, he could have said no at that moment. He could have said, hey, I got a line up waiting for me. But I had to take, if he said no, I was no worse off. I was still at the back of that line. But he said, okay, let me see what you have. And he stopped like 10 feet outside that bathroom. And he said, what do you got? And I showed him my artwork. Did he give me a job? Of course he didn't. Did he say, oh, you're awesome, we're gonna hire you? Of course he didn't. But what he did do was he gave me 3 or 4 pointers on my artwork that I just added to the artwork that I was getting from all those rejection letters that I've talked about. And I just kept applying the criticism over and over and over, so that by a few years later, I did get the job, right? So me chasing him down in the bathroom mattered. It mattered. And I'm not saying it as a funny, I'm just saying at some point, and I've said it before, I think in some of the Discord, is that if you're not gonna go and hustle and advocate for yourself, and for me, the hustle was, I'm gonna chase him into the bathroom. I know it's not right, I know it's not proper, and it's probably not even sort of the gentlemanly thing to do, but it was my one crack. And I had 2 choices. I could either be polite and never get him to look at my artwork, or I could just be a little assertive and cross my fingers and hope that he would look at it. And that was it. And he looked at it. He looked at my artwork, and at some point those criticisms may have been the reason that I applied to my artwork that eventually got me my job. So when I'm talking to young people, and they keep talking themselves out of that they don't like what they do, and they're like, well, I don't know if I'm that good or whatever. I can't advocate for any young artist who doesn't advocate for themselves. I will not do it. I will not do it. I will help coach you if you want to be a player. But if you don't even want to be a player, I'm not going to make you a player. I'm not going to go, you are great. You have skill. You have talent. You don't want it, but I want it more than you do. I'm going to drag you across the line. I'm not going to do that for any human being. What I might do is if you've got a young kid who wants to be in it and is looking for a break, and I see some talent, then maybe I'll give them some pointers like they gave me, and I'll try and drag them across, right? And this is the piece that I've learned now in life that I didn't understand when I was younger, and even in my 30s, maybe even into my 40s, that there are just personalities that are built to basically, at some point, succeed, right? I mean, you either grind it or you don't grind it, right? And I'm telling you for a fact, ladies and gentlemen, that there are 1,000 artists better than I am, 1,000 artists better than I am, right? But here's what I can tell you, there's not 1,000 of them that hustle more than me, right? And that's the piece of the puzzle that I get. I go down to Artist Alley, and if you guys are going to San Diego this weekend, going to Artist Alley, it is phenomenal talent, right? But I know a bunch of those people, and they don't hustle, they don't advocate for themselves. And it is so frustrating to a guy like me, because I go, my hustle and your talent, you think I got a good career now? If I had that talent and this hustle, woo, I don't even know where I'd be right now, right? And so I played Pac-10 baseball in college. And the biggest thing that frustrated me when I played Pac-10 baseball, I was a little skinny guy, but somehow I got there, was seeing the big dogs on my team be lazy. Be lazy. And so I have to hustle, I have to outthink, I have to scrap just to be on the field every day. Why? Because they were bigger, stronger than I was. But I was going to bust my ass every single day. And the reason that I got frustrated, because on their best day, that big dog could have been me. They could have hustled, they could have studied, they could have worked hard, they could have been me. But on my best day, I could never be them. You know why? I was never going to be 6'3" and 210 pounds of muscle. I could never be them. And they could have been me, but they got lazy. And so I'm on the field and not them. The guy who's got way more skill than me, because he just got lazy. And in the comic book industry, I got to tell you, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. I see people with a lot more talent, and they just don't want to apply themselves. So I just sort of keep getting a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more aggressive. And you just then finally get in, and they give you a chance to get there. So whatever you guys are doing, I see a lot of young faces here. Just go. Just go and try. And here's the great thing about trying. You are no worse off for trying. This is the piece that is phenomenal that I even have to say it out loud. If you ask somebody for something, right? I'm in line, and I'm giving today everybody one autograph. You know how many people ask me for two? A handful. What's the worst that happens? I say no, I'm only giving one. They still get their one, but what if I just said, okay, fine, right? You don't lose anything. You don't lose anything by asking, by trying, by doing whatever. I was signing with Ozzy. Look at it. He signed my arm today. I was signing with Ozzy, and they were like, no pictures, no pictures, no pictures. And one young lady came in because they were Ozzy, could I have a picture, right? Why not ask, right? I know everybody told you 10 times, but you got in front of Ozzy, go, can I have a picture? Guess what he said? Sure. And so she pulled out her camera, and then all of a sudden the bouncer came and went, no. And then Ozzy said, no. I said, yes. And so she got the picture, and you could see everybody in line was going, man, I should have asked, right? But she was the one that asked, and she got the picture. So she's going to be able to have this cool Instagram thing tonight, or TikTok thing tonight, and nobody else is, because she asked for it, right? Look at, I'm an old man, and I did this. I used to be a minority partner with the Edmonton Oilers, an NHL franchise. And we had Wayne Gretzky. Hopefully most of you guys have heard that name. Wayne Gretzky, greatest hockey player of all time, played for the Oilers. So we were retiring his number, right? A couple things I remember that day. I went down to the stadium that day, and they had, you know how they lift up the banner into the rafters when they get retired? And I was walking around, and then I go, hey, I wonder what's behind this curtain here. And I was just down by the ice, and I open up, it's the banner. The number 99, Gretzky number 99 banner. It was like about from me to you, right? And I went, oh God, it's the banner that's going up tonight. 7 o'clock, that banner's going up, we're gonna retire it. So I peeked back out, I didn't see anybody. I put my fucking initials on it. That banner, when it went up that night, I was looking at people going, shit, he's not the only dude going up tonight. I had a Sharpie, and I put, McFarlane in the corner of that banner. Shoot, I'm up. Why? I don't know. What's the worst that happened? Somebody says, hey, you can't write on the banner. But there's nobody around, so I did it, right? Then later on, they said, hey, we're going to have a retirement party, and Wayne Gretzky and a couple of players are going to come. But they told all the owners, we're grown adults. You don't get any photos. Don't take a photo. Don't bring your cameras, don't take a photo. Okay. I go, have a nice time. I watch Wayne, eventually he's got to leave. And then I go, hey, Wayne, quick question. You mind if I take a photo? Let me tell you, I've met Wayne Gretzky off and on before. Wayne Gretzky is very sociable and he likes to interact with people. I do too. And I think he was a little bummed that night that nobody was asking for photos. This is the thing about people trying to protect celebrities. That it's like, no, sometimes we actually like people, right? So they think we don't. It's a bother. You know who's a bother or not. I mean, I've done some stuff with Jamie Foxx. That guy is like the most crazy guy. He goes to like Taco Bell and starts taking selfies with people, right? He's like, he's like, here, I'll take it. Like, oh, can I have a selfie? He takes their phone. He takes the selfie for them. He's the one holding the phone. He's the one pressing the button. Why? He just enjoys people. So I go, hey, Wayne, can I take a photo? And he's like, you can just see a bit of a smile because like, finally, one of these guys cares. And I go, yeah, and it was this dark Italian place, sort of like this with the doors down. And it was super dark. Have you ever been to one of these restaurants? And when you hit a button with a camera and it flashes, it looks like lightning hit that restaurant. And it went, boom, and every one of the upper management and all the owners turned and they went, what? Now, to put it in perspective, we had had a meeting earlier and somehow I was in the middle of the scrum. Don't know how I got there. That's another story. And then we retired him and we renamed a street called Wayne Gretzky Street, and all the owners were up on this stage except for one, me, because I went down in the mosh pit to get close, because I go, why do I want to sit behind Wayne Gretzky and get pictures of his ass? I want to be right here, go, woo-hoo, Wayne, get on. And you could just see it, I could see the executives are looking at me and they're going, and then they caught me and they went, is that McFarlane in the mosh pit? And then they looked and they saw the empty chair. And I'm like, oh my God, this guy is a Looney Tune. So it was like, okay. So that night when I went, poof, it didn't surprise them. Somebody took a picture and broke the rules. It was like, McFarlane. But let me tell you, I have that picture hanging up in my office because he's the only celebrity that sort of ever made me sort of weak. Nobody else did. But when I took that picture, guess what I noticed after that? Every other owner looked at their wife and went, told you should have brought it. But they didn't have the courage and balls to do it. You just sometimes got to do it, right? And so I walk out of there and I got the only picture on Wayne Gretzky's retirement night. I got the only picture with Wayne and nobody else does. Losers, right? You just have to do it sometimes. And even if you bend the rules, I've said it before, if somebody asks you something, you always say yes, and it goes something like this. It goes something like this. Mom, I'm going to go out to a party on Saturday night. Oh, what time's the party? It's 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock, cool. You're not going out. Mom, you know this one. You're not going out till you clean your room. Your room is a pigsty, right? Okay. Yeah, sure. Then all of a sudden your friends come, and Saturday night, 5 minutes before the party, they honk the horn, they text. All of a sudden, you come running down, because you're going to the party. And you come down, and Mom catches you. And then Mom asks you the question, whoa, did you clean your room? The fucking answer is yes. Even if you didn't. The answer is yes. For two reasons. One, Mom's going to be happy for the moment. So we've covered that base. Two, you get to go to the party. Here's what's going to happen. Here's what's going to happen if you tell that little bit of a white lie. You got two choices. You're either going to go upstairs if you say, no, Mom, I didn't clean it. You're either going to go upstairs and clean your room, and you're going to miss the party. Or you can tell a little bit of a fib, and you're going to go have a party, and Mom's going to find out, and you're going to clean up your room, and she's going to be a little bit mad. Both ways, the room's getting cleaned up. But one of them, you got to go to the fucking party, right? No. So at some point, you just have to go, no, it's okay. You just go and you bend the rules. I always find the back door. I always find the back door. Everybody's trying to get politely in front. I always find the back door into people and get to them, and they're like, hey, look at, I got Jamie Foxx. Jamie Foxx is an Academy Award-winning actor who said yes to playing Spawn. You know how I got him to do it? I asked him. everybody told me he will never say yes. He's too big of a name. He will never say yes. You're a first-time director. I want to direct at that point. He's never going to sign up, Todd. He's never going to sign up, Todd. He's never going to sign up. That's Jamie Foxx. I had the producer on it, Jason Blum, who does a lot of horror movies, right? Tons of them, whatever. Even he was going, Todd, what are you talking about? I go, well, you know what? I'm just going to phone these people and just see if I can set up a meeting, whatever else. I went and asked him, what's the worst that happened? If he says, no, we don't have Jamie Foxx, I don't have Jamie Foxx right now. I'll go to somebody else. Guess what? We asked, guess what he said? Yeah. Right? And then I went, man, let's see if we can get a second guy. Because I was writing a script, and I go, you know, I really like Jeremy Renner, because he did some cool stuff with Hurt Locker and a couple other movies. And I remember going, when I met him, I just went, look, I'm not here because you do Hawkeye. I haven't even seen the movie. I don't even watch the Avengers, right? I'm going, I'm here because he did a movie. No, he did a movie called Wind River. If you haven't seen Wind River, you should watch it. To me, it's like the origin of Hawkeye anyways. That's how a superhero movie should be. And I talked to him, and I remember the producers and the agents and going, Todd, look, we knew it was a moonshot to get Jamie. You are not getting 2 A-listers. You're not getting 2, right? Stop it. Why don't we ask them, right? It's like, have you asked them? No, because you can't get them. No, but how do you know you can't get them if you don't ask? Like, it was weird. So I just went behind them, and I just found their agent, because I had his agent happened to be at the same place where my agent was. And I go, do you know who his agent was? And we just had a conversation, and they set it up, and I had to go to Jeremy's house, and I just had to convince him. And he went, okay, on one condition, I get to sign off on your director of photography. Because the movie he had just done, Wind River, had been done by a first-time director, Taylor Sheridan, who actually wrote Wind River. He wrote Hell or High Water, and he wrote Sicario, right? He's a hell of a, and he's a guy that created and wrote, what do you call it, Yellowstone? The TV show? And he wanted to direct some of his own writing. And so Jeremy was in that movie, Wind River, but there was like an old man that was the director of photography, and he felt really comfortable. So it was like, okay, I can work with a first-time director as long as you have a seasoned backup guy. That was it. And next thing you know, I had 2 A-listers. Jeremy's been nominated for Academy Award 2. And you could just see the people in Hollywood scratching their heads going, what are you telling us, Todd? You, like, at that point, Blumhouse hadn't had a movie with 2 big guys at that point. And so they're like, what? It's like, you should just start asking them more, guys, because sometimes they actually say yes. And so that's how you get doors open. And the worst that would happen is if they both said no, and we don't have Jeremy, and we don't have Jamie. But that's where we started. So there's no negative to it. This is the piece that drives me crazy. There's no negative to trying. Okay, how many baskets have I made today? None. Okay. Oh, I missed it. Still none. I'll try another one. Still none. You don't get a minus. You don't get -1. You're at 0. You might be horrible, my mom is, and she'll shoot all day, she'll still be at 0. But every now and then, you put one in and you're +1, and you can't ever get to +1 if you don't try. And it's the try piece. But that's personalities, and what comes natural to a guy like me, since I come out of the womb, which is to just be a rule breaker and to be a bit of a pistol, is not comfortable to a lot of human beings. And that's the demarcation. That's the demarcation. So I know sometimes when I'm in a room with people, I know I'm only talking to 4 people at times, right? So I've given speeches, ladies and gentlemen, I have given speeches to, you know what an MBA degree is? Right? Some smart financial guys or something like that. I call them baby sharks. But you want to take the little baby sharks and grow them into big sharks. I've gone to give talks at MBA classes because I'm also a CEO and they want me to come and talk about business. And here's the best fun. Here's the best fun about talking to MBA kids. Every MBA kid almost thinks you're going to come in and you're going to give them the 10 steps to being a millionaire. And I've seen it before. It's super cool. They all sit there and they're all attentive. And they're all like, they got their pen. and they're all ready to write down the 10 steps, right? Because, oh shit, this is a good class, the guy gonna come in there, he's got a lot of money, then it's just, okay, we're gonna write it down, because of course, it's that easy, 10 steps. And then they sit there, and then I come in, and you know what's the first thing I say? I walk in there and I go, hey guys, thanks for having me today. Here's what I'm not gonna do for you today. I am not gonna tell you how to make money. And you know what they do? 80% of them, they all go, as soon as I say that, I go, I'm not gonna tell you how to make money. They go, and they sit back in their chair, and they look at their buddy, and they're like, bro, why are we here? Like, what did you see? You're not gonna tell us how to make money. We're like, that's all we're trained for. We're little baby sharks, that's what we do. We make money. And the reason I do that is because I go, why would I tell you the path that got me to be successful? Because every time I make a decision, I have to hit a fork and I have to make a decision. And those decisions are based on my life experience, my knowledge, and my education at that moment. At that moment. I'm only so smart or dumb at any one moment. Boom, and I pick a fork, and then I take another one, and I have to take another fork. Why would I tell you how to make $1 million when you yourself might have chosen another path and you might have made $100 million? Why would I tell you the path to $1 million when you might be smarter than me and you might do it 10 times, 100 times better than me? Why limit yourself? So I'm not going to tell you any of that. They don't like it. They don't like it, right? Here's what I do tell them at those seminars. There's only one thing that I wish for you in this class, and I'll give it to you because I don't think it's exclusive to MBA students. You keep your integrity. You keep your integrity. That's all you got. The only thing you get to take to your grave, the only thing you get to go that goes in that box is you and your integrity, your reputation. Nothing else gets to go with you. And if you want to burn your reputation to make cash, that's going in the box with you. So this is easy. This is an easy lesson. If you're going to be an asshole, and I've met plenty of assholes in my life, if you're going to be an asshole, I got one rule for you. You had better make somebody else money every single day of your life. Every day you better make money for somebody. You know why? The day you stop making money for somebody, nobody willingly hangs out with an asshole. You're forced to hang out with those people for a reason. It's usually because of job or because of investment or because of something. But nobody goes, you know what, Mr. Jones, he's a douchebag. I'm going to go visit him right now. Nobody does that, right? You just go, no. Keep your reputation. And I've seen people that are in high-level places in Hollywood, on Wall Street, in investment banking, whatever, that are actually good people. So I know that those unicorns exist. It's not like it's not doable. I have seen it. I have seen it. I have seen it. And they're like, ugh. So usually at the end of those talks, I usually end it with them with a bit of a test. And I'll give it to you if you want. But it makes the point to them because like, oh man, it's all about money, man. I go, here's the test. You wake up tomorrow and you go to the doctors and you're going to just basically get a checkup and you just go, hey, you know, I need a full checkup. And the doctor checks everything in you, takes some blood samples and does everything else. And then he says, hey, we're going to run them through the lab. You go sit out in the lobby. And you're sitting out in the lobby looking at your phone, and then about an hour goes by and the doctor comes out and looks at you and he has a very graven look on his face. And he asks you to come back into his office. You're sort of going, what? Seems pretty serious. And he comes back and he gives you the bad news. The bad news is that they found that you have inoperable cancer and you will be dead in 3 weeks. And modern medicine cannot save you. There's nothing that will save you. You're dead in 3 weeks, ladies and gentlemen. Now, here's what I'm going to assume. I'm going to assume that every human being has at least one person that they care about deeply. At least one. So the question is, that one person you care about is going to be heartbroken. Because I assume if you care about them that much, they care that much about you in reverse. And so they're going to be heartbroken that you're not going to be here in 3 weeks. So you're gonna need help in transitioning that person who's gonna have a broken heart and easing them into the new normal with you not being around. So I got a couple questions for you. Who is the person in your life that you would like to help you in that transition to your most beloved person? Who? You can only pick one person. Who is it?
You.
I would, no, yeah. And I go, I'll give you 10 seconds. You can pick one person. Who's the person? I stand there in silence. And then I go, okay, now I'm going to do a follow-up question. The person you just came up with, let me ask you, were they the richest person that you know, or were they the best person that you know? I'm betting you just picked the best person that you know. So, MBA people, why don't you want to be that person? Because when it came right down to it, the money didn't matter. When the rubber hit the road, you didn't pick the rich dude with the Corvette and whatever. You picked the best human being that you know. Why not between those two choices, try and strive to be that person? So that when the chips are down, they pick you. And they pick you, and they pick you. I don't know, seems like a better way to sort of be productive and get through life instead of saying, hey, look at this. So I admire people who have probably stinky job, maybe a bad boss, they don't like the hours and they get abused a little bit, and then they go home and then they take off their clothes and they go and volunteer for free to coach a little league team. Right? They're just giving back something of themselves, spending time to help others at that moment. And okay, or I can go and hang out with the vice president of the bank who's got a Maserati and 2 houses, but he's been divorced 4 times, he's estranged from all his children, and nobody likes him. So he makes a lot of money. So what? So what? Right? And on the side of making money, if you do something that you like, that you enjoy, that you're good at, I'm telling you right now, if you catch a couple lucky breaks, you will make money in return. It's just a byproduct of it. It's a byproduct of it. So I don't go, hey, how much money can I make? I sit there and go, how can I do something that's fun, that I think is a fair price, that has high quality, that I enjoy doing, and I put it out, and I've been lucky there's enough people that will follow me. I don't sit there and go, which I know plenty of people that do it, how do we make $1 million? Oh man, you gotta come up with an idea. Man, what's the idea? Hey, Jake, what's the idea would you come up with? They're coming up with the idea second. They already know they want the $1 million, they got the idea second. Come up with the idea first. Implement it, do it, bang it out, and then guess what? If it works, money comes. Money comes, it's the byproduct of success, right? So I don't have a bunch of money because I was striving for money. I just was doing stuff that happened to work out. And then they give you money. They give you money, and I'm going to tell you how important money is to me, just so you guys understand my mentality. And people, what I'm about to say, you probably won't believe it. I don't care, because I know it's the truth. And the people in Hollywood, I keep saying to this, they don't understand it, no matter how many times I tell them. When I started my toy company, I used to get people from Wall Street to come to my house, and guess what they wanted me to do? They wanted me to go public. You know what that means? You take your company, you sell it, you go on the stock market, people can buy stock, and you can either go up and down, right? There's only one way that happens. Somebody's got to own it. And so they come in there and they go, Todd, we're going to give you a ton of cash, and we want to buy your company, and then we're going to take it public. And I'm like, hold on, well, let me just ask you a question. I control my company right now. So if you give me a ton of cash, am I in control? No. What? So you're just going to give me money, and then I lose control? Yeah, that's how it works. No, I can't do it. Fine. You know what their answer is? They only have one answer. Let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, they only got one answer to every question. Fine, we'll give you more money. Fine. 2x, not 1x, 2x. But do I lose control? Todd, that's how it works. I don't know. Fine. 3x. And by the time they get to 3x, I know they're out of their comfort zone. And it's a lot of money. And then I delivered it to a couple of them, and eventually they stopped coming to my door. And I just went, guys, I don't care about your money, right? I've got money. My house is paid for, I got a car, my kids, I've gone through, I don't need it. I've got money. I guess you can give me that much money. And if you give me that much money, I don't even know what I'm gonna do with it. I either gotta buy a football team, an island, or a private 747. I don't even know what to do with that kind of money, right? It's stupid. So I don't want it. I don't want it. And and here's why I don't want it, guys. My dad taught me the definition, my mom taught me the definition of a couple words. Here's one of the words they taught me the definition of. Useless. Useless. Do you know that I've got bank accounts that got a lot of cash in them right now? A lot of cash in them. Which basically means I'm not using it. Why would it be in the bank? If I was using it, it wouldn't be in the bank. It's in the bank. So I got a bunch of useless shit in the bank right now. Man, if you call stockbrokers cash useless, that's the only commodity they trade in. And they're going, oh my God. And they look at each other and they go, did he just call cash useless? Woo! Woo! And I go, look, I have a price. I'm not a saint. I have a price. And the price is this. If you give me enough money so that you buy me out, but I'm so rich now, I can then buy my company back and fire you two fucks. Then I go, then we're there, but nobody's ever given me that deal, so I got to turn it down. Eventually, they stopped coming. And then years later, I remember I was at a party and there was a bunch of bigwigs, whatever else, and I guess I ran into somebody that was a stockbroker or something, I don't know what he did, and I introduced myself, and I said, hey, my name's Todd, and he went, tell me McFarlane. And he turned to his buddy and he goes, oh, we've heard of you, right? We've heard of you, which is why they stopped coming. Because they go, there's the crazy man in Phoenix, Arizona, who calls cash the only commodity we trade in is useless, right? Woo! Like, we'll move on to the next sucker, right? Because this guy is like Looney Tune, and they can't understand, because the reason for it is that I would have to give up the control, and here's why I can't give up the control. I'm a control freak, first one, boom, done. But everything you do in a public company, you must be able to put it on a piece of paper and you have rows and columns, right? So, rows and columns. Do you know that years ago, I don't know if you guys know this, I bought a baseball for way too much money, right? Let me tell you, never get into, somebody said they were, how was it you? No, but you said you bought a 9.9 comic book and you spent way more than you should have, right?
Yes.
So just take that and multiply it by about 100, right? That was me. And it's like, here's the thing, when I got into that auction that was at Madison Square Garden, and all the people were at Madison Square Garden, it was the Mark McGuire baseball, just set a record in baseball. And it just come after the 98 season, it was like January 99 or something. And all the media was in Madison Square Garden. All the bidders and all the bigwigs in New York were in there. And I was on the phone, and I was anonymous. I didn't want to give anybody my name, my number, anything. I'm just going, no. The lady who was taking my bids that day, I'll never forget, was the roommate of somebody who worked at this auction house. I think it was Sotheby's. And she goes, I've never done an auction before, so you can be patient with me. And I'm like, yeah, don't worry about it, Sarah. We're gonna do it. And we started going, and it started going up at 50,000 a pop. And then at some point, I think when it hit $1 million, it started going up at 100,000 a pop. Now do the math. At $1 million, it's like your bid, 1.1 back to me, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4. Every time it comes back to me, that's 200 grand, right? I thought I could grab it for $1 million, and I'm gonna tell you why. But it ended up going. Never get in the bid with another crazy man. Because you get stupid, right? And so it was like, oh my gosh. And the problem was that day, because I actually filmed it on my end, was that, I don't know if you guys have ever been to Madison Square Garden, but you know the environment, right? It's loud, it's big, it's exciting. Every time, I could hear over the phone, every time the guy who's in person bid, the stadium went crazy. It was like the home team. He was the home team now, and he just scored a goal. And people were going, come on, everybody else had dropped out except for that one guy. And in hindsight, I talked to that guy, and I said, what was your actual number when you came in? He goes, 1.2, right? And it went way past that for both of us. So he was in there, and he's going, okay, and then he go, oh, 1.2, and then they're going, yeah! And I could hear it, the roar. Why? Because the media wanted that guy to win. Why? Because they wanted to basically get him on camera 10 minutes later. or the anonymous phone. There's no interview. Yeah. Who's that dude? Yeah. And so he was sitting there and he said he had people behind him that were also bidding, and then they finally went, just like you, they went, it got hot, and he started wavering. I could tell because the time was taken, he started wavering. And he said guys were coming up behind him and go, dude, I'll give you the 100,000. Go. And he's like, okay, he put up his hand, right? I'm like, oh my God, I got a crazy man. Sarah, I went, Sarah, because this is what I would have done if I was there in person. Sarah, get your hand up, get your paddle up, and don't put it down. Just put it up so that he knows whatever bid he's going to put on top of it. Just put it up. And she's like, what are you saying? It's getting loud in here. I can't hear it. They're screaming so much. Every time the guy bids, and I'm going, Sarah, if you put the paddle down, they think I'm hesitating. You're killing me, Sarah, right? Get the paddle up. I don't understand. Get the paddle up, Sarah. And she didn't. And it was like, what? And so now they're going, oh, Todd's, well, they didn't know it was me. But the phone's on the edge because he's waffling. It's taken a long time. Where if it was me, 1.1, 1.3, I would have just jumped it right there. At some point, they would have noticed. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Anyways, finally, the guy got exhausted. $2.7 million, right? I know, that's what my wife said. Let me tell you, my wife left that day, right? No, I mean, didn't leave me. She left. She knew I was going to be bidding. She left. She goes, I cannot be around this. I got to just get some fresh air, go out and get some sanity, because what you're thinking about doing is insane. I go, why? It won't cost more than $1 million. Right? So, and then by the time you put tax and license on it, it was like a hair over $3 million. Okay, now, let's talk about it. $3 million. Now here's, you guys just had the same reactions as most people. You just went, $3 million. You know, you can just go down to Kmart and get that thing for about $4.99, right? You don't have to spend that much money. I can find you a ball, Todd, for $4.99. Here's the strange thing about spending money. Sometimes people care how you spend your money and sometimes they don't. So you guys just went, oh my God, Todd, you spent $3 million on a baseball. And all you guys are going, Todd, a bit of a loony. Bit of a loony. I don't know if I actually want him to get that close to my children now. Look at Mom sort of protecting him right now. Don't want him to get there. $3 million. You know, last week I spent $11 million manufacturing toys, and none of you care. Why do you care that I spent 3 when you don't care that I spent 11? Because you understand the 11, because you're going to, or the 3, because you're going to 3 for a baseball. A baseball? What are you talking about? I don't understand how to make toys internationally, but a baseball. Here's why I did it, ladies and gentlemen. A couple reasons. The biggest reason, probably bar none, was I got a brother a year younger and a brother a year older, and maybe you got siblings that are close. If I get that baseball, I get to phone them up because they're baseball fans and go, fuck, look what I got. Because this is what we did our whole lives, right? We just one up each other. I got the baseball, you don't have the baseball. And so that was number 1, check. So I did make that phone call to both my brothers that night. Number 2, there's a thing in the column that's called advertising, right? You know that a Super Bowl commercial at that time went for $3.2 million for 30 seconds. 30 seconds. If I had spent $3.2 million on a commercial, nobody would have said, Todd, you're insane. They would have said, oh, okay, you're putting a commercial on the Super Bowl, and it's cool, and you spent $3.2 million. It's advertising, maybe you're going to get it back, boom, 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 boom. Do you know I bought that ball in 1999? It is now 23 years later. Do you know I still do interviews in which people still talk about that ball? And they give me free advertising. And you know what advertising I got when I bought that ball? I was on the Howard Stern show. I was on Good Morning America. I got an article in Sports Illustrated. I got one in Sporting News. Like, you name it, I was there. ESPN. I got it. You know what it cost to get that time? It would have cost me $20 million to get what I got for 3. Oh, by the way, if you don't care about advertising, that's fine. I then was able to take that headline, and I didn't have the sports license yet for the toys yet. Right? Here's the piece. I was trying to make sports toys, and they would not let me. And then they saw the headline. And the headline, they went, what? Some dude spent $3 million on a baseball, and now he's asking for a meeting to make and get a license? He must be successful. Why? Because we make easy calculations. Just spent $3 million, he must have more money than he needs because he's wiping his ass buying baseball. He must be successful, bring him in. Bring him in. They don't know that I big for him still every penny that I have to buy that ball. I put everything, all the eggs in one basket, never do it, but I did. I put all the eggs in the one basket. But it ended up working because then I went in and I got the NHL contract. And then I got the NFL contract. And I got the Major League Baseball contract and the NBA contract. And over those 4 licenses, over the span of 15 years, which is what I ended up making those toys, we probably made $25 million in profits. Back out the 3 for the baseball that got me to the table. Because it was a big boys game. And the only way they were going to get there is if you were anteing up. And the ante was, oh, he's got money, he's got success. It was the ball. That was my ante. And so 25 minus 3 is still 22. It's still a victory. The reason I tell you that story, if you're public, if you're a public company, you can't do that move. Because how do you track that? They're going to want to see it on, again, a sheet that has rows and columns. And they're going to go, tell us, Todd, track the money. How do we make it? I can't. I just, in my gut, believe this will work. And it would never happen. So I couldn't do it. So I couldn't give up control of my company because everything that led to any success I had was inconsistent and away from the norm of how they conduct business. And I was going to be locked into a format that I didn't believe was going to succeed, which is their way of doing business. So I just go, no, you keep your money, your useful stuff. I'll just keep doing it my way, and we'll just come up with some crazy ideas, and who knows where it all lands. And that sort of mentality has been, I don't get it right all the time, but if you can get it right 80, 85% of the time, it's not bad, right? You, again, back out the 15% error, and you're still at plus 70, right? It's not bad, right? You can survive all of that. So that was it. And by the way, I also had neighbors that sold their companies, and every one of them, to a person, said, in hindsight, I would never do it. In hindsight, I would never have done it. Because everything I just said, the way that I built my business, they don't let me do it anymore. I can't do it. They've got this new thing, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so that's it. Yes, coming up.
Hello. First, you're a very inspiring speaker. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Mom.
I appreciate it all the time. But I guess in regards to Comic-Con, you're an industry veteran. You've been here since the beginning. Besides money, what's the biggest change that you've seen through Comic-Con throughout the years?
This is true. I think I've mentioned it maybe in Discord. The biggest change that I've seen is that if you guys have gone, you know Artist Alley? Those people make a lot of money, And they go to a lot of conventions, and every weekend they can go to the convention hop, and they can make a lot of money. They can make more money doing conventions than drawing comic books. And so the biggest change is it's getting harder for a guy like me who puts out comic books to find people who want to do comic books. Because they're just going, Todd, what can you pay me? Marvel, what can you pay me? DC, what can you pay me? I can just go to conventions and make more money. And I understand that everybody's got a family and they got babies they got to feed. Here's the bad part of it. If you never go out and do books and make your mark, then you're only going to be able to sell your artwork based on your skill, and you're going to be at basically the market price. Because nobody knows who you are other than you're really good. And no matter how good you are, and no matter how much money you make, if you artists that are going to do that for the rest of your life, I guarantee you I can sit next to you, and whatever you're charging, I will charge 10 times the amount, and people will pay me, and I'll have a bigger line. Now, why is that? Because I went and did the comic books, and I did the work, and I made the impact, and now they would rather pay me $500 to do a Spawn drawing, or a Spider-Man drawing, or a Venom drawing, than to give you $50 to do the exact same character, right? So I gotta work 1/10 as hard to make the same money. You gotta do 10 drawings to my one. And that's why I think that they're making a short-term decision that seems very interesting, because a lot of money, but it's not, they're gonna find out, I believe, that it's not gonna be good for their career long-term. Some of them will, but the majority of them, that's the biggest thing. To me, I'm just going, man, I can't find people to do work, right? So, but, you got any other question? No. Any other ones? Any two quick? Yes, sir.
I was just, how big do you see sort of this Discord and NFT community that we have right here getting? Like, do you see it like how it is right now, you know, invite event? Do you see it being something as big as like a Hall H in like the next 5-10 years?
It's interesting. I don't really care, right? I don't, and I say, because I've got other segments of business, and cumulatively, I do quite well. I don't need any of them to be a giant. I just need a bunch of like baby steps and I get there. So what we're gonna do is the best we can in the NFT space, just like we did the best we can in the comic book space, and the video game space, and the toy space, and the Hollywood space. We're just gonna do the best we can. And if that means you have a big audience, super cool. And if it means you got a small audience, but it's sustainable, super cool, right? I mean, it's okay. It's okay. I don't need.
As long as you have engagement.
As long as you have engagement and people are enjoying what they're doing. Like, why do I care if it's 100,000 or if it's 1,000? It's still people enjoying, right? Look at this. Isn't what we would call a giant party. We've all been to bigger parties. But if you guys are enjoying yourself, then it's okay that it's this size, right? Who cares? So if people put on bigger parties and had more fun, maybe. But we're here. This is the moment. We got this many people, and this is enough for today. And we're doing it. So I think we've got enough in the Discord. And my job is to try and make it grow. Not because I want to sell more, not because I want to make more money, but because I just think it's fun to have a bigger community. And then we'll just see where it goes. I don't know, it might take a year, it might take 10 years. And if it doesn't, that's okay. If it's just 10 years from now, if all of us that are in this room, we come back for a 10-year reunion, it's not bad, right? We'll have some laughs, and we'll say, man, remember 10 years ago, it was cool. Man, why didn't I win that sketch? Any other questions? All right. Big shot, how's one?
Comment question.
Comment question.
So one of my favorite panels is when God came to Spawn and gave him a sword as a dog. Now the portals are closed, heaven and hell is bad, everything's kind of messed up. If the portals ever reopen, is God bad, or is he going to basically wrath all of his angels?
Okay, let me talk about God and Satan. Because I have strong opinions about it. I'll explain, and let me just go on record saying I don't have an ounce of religion in my body. Never have, never will, right? So whenever I say it's not blasphemy, because I don't think it's true, so I can't do something and say something because I don't believe it's true. Although, people have asked me, well, what if it's true and you get to meet your maker? I hope to God I get to meet my maker, because I got some fucking questions. Couple of them, just so you guys know. I'll tell you a couple of the questions. Big guy, just before we get through it here, just because I'm a little confused and I don't like being smarter than you. Just so I'm clear here. Did you know that all those human beings you invented needed fucking drinking water to survive? Did you know you invented water? Why didn't you put drinking water everywhere? Because you know people are dying because they don't have water to drink. And it's not like you don't know how to invent it. You fucking invented it. It exists. But while you were making infinity, you forgot to put it in places where you knew people were going to live, and they are dying because you couldn't put the product you built there. Number two, do you know that people need to eat? You invented soil that will grow stuff. Why didn't you put it everywhere? I would have. My name's Todd, only rhymes with God, but I would have put it everywhere, right? I wouldn't have worried about infinity plus. I would have put water for people and soil for people. And number three, I got a couple. Number three, if you're gonna do a miracle, this is easy. You want me to bend a knee to you? This is easy. See that amputee over there? Grow his leg back. You invented legs. You know what they are, because we all got them. Grow that leg back. That will be a miracle that I'll bend the knee on. Everything else, it's just, to me, chance and math. at some point. Listen, I've seen the story of the boulder coming down the hill, and it runs through a town, and one house stands, and everything else gets demolished. And we call it a miracle. I don't, and here's why. Do you know sometimes I go bowling, and I take that big fucking boulder, and I roll it right down the middle, and it hits square in the middle, and it goes, and everything goes flying, and guess what? One of them somehow standing. I go, what are you talking about? It went right down the middle. How's one standing? I don't call that a miracle. It becomes a spare if I hit it down, right? It's just chance. It's just chance at that point. And the last one, I hope I get to ask them. I just want some clarity on this one. You knew Bob was gonna exist, my dad. You knew Shirley was gonna exist. My mom. You knew they were gonna get a little frisky one day. And then they were gonna actually make a thing called Todd. You knew that, right? Because you're omniscient, you know everything about stuff. And you knew the moment I came out of that womb, I was never gonna believe in you for 1 second of my life. You knew that before you made me. And then you made me. And I did exactly what you knew I was gonna be, which is a guy that was never gonna believe it till his last breath. And now we're gonna have a conversation that you're gonna send me someplace because I was exactly what you knew in advance I was gonna be. It's bizarre to me. I'm getting punished for being what you knew I was gonna be from the very get-go. It's confusing to a guy like me. So, anyways, that's just a preamble. Heaven and hell and Spawn he treats them both equal. One just has a better PR firm. That's it. One has a better PR firm. So let's do it, right? Because we do it. Don't judge a book by its cover. Our parents tell us all day long, don't judge a book by its cover. Okay, so let's do it. We're gonna draft animals. And this is gonna be, come here. You're gonna be Satan. And you're going to be God. Okay, now let's just do the test. White furry rabbits, little bunny rabbits. Who do you think side they are on? God. Of course you can. Here you go, take it. There we go. Okay. Rats. Who do you think drafted that one? Of course we got that one, right? Ladybugs. Those are all cute little guys with little dots. Of course they're on that side, right? Cockroaches. Shit. Over here. What are you talking about? Right? Doves? Little parakeets? It's over here. Vultures? Lizards? Snakes? All over here. We do it with animals. And animals have no choice at what they are. They're just born to be what they are. I tell my wife every day, she's horrified, I don't know about you, about cockroaches. She hates cockroaches. And I go, but it's just a bug. It's just a bug and it can't help. It's just a cockroach. It doesn't have any say in the matter. It's a cockroach. And so, yeah, but they're just icky and gooky, whatever. So I go, so you're telling me if that guy had enough brains to paint himself red and put black dots on him and just be a big ladybug, because I've seen you let ladybugs crawl up your arm and you think it's really cool, that if he was able to paint his body differently, you would go, oh my God, no, you're just basically, you just hate the cockroach because he's been a cockroach, right? And we do it, and of course a cockroach goes on the dark side. We do it with animals, so of course we do it with each other. We are judgmental about everything. So Spawn's whole mission to get geeky with comic books is to say, I want no interference in my life, nor humanity's. I lock the doors, and I do not want you involving yourself in humanity, and I don't want you either involving yourself in humanity. We are flawed enough. Let us have our own free will. Let us live our lives the way we see fit. Let us make our own mistakes, and I'm sure we'll probably destroy ourselves at some point, but just let us do it on our own time clock. Stop influencing us. Stay away from the game. That's it. That's his game, right? So that's why he locked them out. And anything that's on Earth right now that got stuck there when he locked it, he's hunting them down. And he's going to go get out. get out. Just leave us alone, get out, let us just be human beings, that's all. It's just a bad metaphor for me, I just like, I don't wanna be and I don't wanna have a boss anymore. I just wanna be my own guy, right? And so Spawn just wants to be his own guy, and he now wants to carry it on to humanity, so. That's it, anyways, it was a rant. So, any other questions?
Thank you.
Shit, someone go, I'm not asking about politics.
Why don't we get these, the rest of these raffle items signed real quick, and then you can.
Okay, anybody's got anything that needs signed, either something you won and or something you've got in your
Yeah.
bag, I'm gonna sit here for the next.
So we
If
can-
not, thanks for coming, you're free to stay, free to eat, free to leave, do whatever you want, I appreciate you
let's,
coming, thanks, bye.